Welcome to Tarot and the Moons. Hi everyone, my name is Ingrid, and this is an offering for new moon or full moon tarot readings. Enjoy! So, how did everyone do after that eclipse? For me, it was really a moment of peace and sacredness. I felt that there would be some sort of a positive shift in the world and in my own personal life. I think I mentioned this before, that the cosmic points for me are something that in my family we honor with reverence. And I was taught that eclipse points are really an opportunity for us to go inward and to pray with a sense of humility. Humility is actually a pretty profound virtue with extraordinary consequences. For me, humility is actually the key to having your path be one of ease and grace. But in chatting with some friends, I realized that not everyone was having this positive sort of feeling. Some people had intense feelings with the eclipse, intense feelings about their health or about a relationship or some sort of internal shakeup that they were feeling during that eclipse moment. And of course, everyone's experience is going to be informative about what's going on in their lives. But I think what I discovered in my discussions with my friends was that those that were influenced by the eclipse in a more challenging way, they either didn't really go inward, or they were doing something rather than being, which I thought was interesting. Or they were with people or groups of people that were not into the state of silence or that still point or the state of being in reverence, right? So for those that felt these challenges with the eclipse energetically, now might be the perfect opportunity for you to shift that, especially with this Scorpio full moon. In other words, to realign yourself. So just take 5 minutes to just go internal, go into that still point within you. And as you do, just try to recall the eclipse moment. This is like a do-over exercise, if you will. Remember that in the quantum field, time and space simply does not exist. So for you, if you were feeling the energy of the eclipse as a challenging one, again, take that moment, go inward, and be in the humble state for like 5 minutes, that inner point of silence within yourself, and trust this process. Tap into your peace. Let that be your experience for your eclipse, if you had a challenging one. You know, it's really important for us to realize that we're entering some sort of cosmic engagement, right? And we have been for several years now. And we can shift the energy within us by shifting how a past situation occurred that we wanted to have a different outcome with. So don't get stuck in the space of, I had a bad experience here or there. Be in a more active engagement of choosing to transform. Because we always have the ability to transform and transmute. And this dives straight into our archetypes for this full moon in Scorpio. And there are 3 tarot archetypes playing with us in this full moon in Scorpio season. One is, of course, the moon. The other one is the Death Tarot card, which is always asking us to let go of the past versions of who we are, right? Who we think we are. And the other tarot archetype that's playing with us this Scorpio full moon season is the Judgment card, which is always asking us to be in that spirit of forging a new version of who we are. A new path in alignment with the purpose of what we're here meant to be. And I think I've previously mentioned that humanity's purpose and what we're here to do, what we're meant to become, is this technology of love, because that in fact is our contribution to the universal cosmic order. And I just want to take a quick little pause at this point to share with you a message that I received after the eclipse. I had this wave of peace that I felt, and I received a message that really reinforces my statement that we are indeed this technology of love, this technology that will become more and more evident as we continue to expand and as AI continues to make its presence more known in our daily lives. And the message that I received was that we are in this frequency of love. And there was a distinction that was made between light and love. Basically, the information, the inner guidance that I received was that light actually exposes the dark, and love erases it. So that was pretty profound for me, because light may be something that's emitted right from the universe, from cosmic beings and all that is. And often in certain circles and communities, we're sending light. I do this myself, sending light frequencies to people in need, people, war-torn areas, etc. I always do it with the energy, my energy of understanding of love. But if we're just sending light, we need to understand that we're only highlighting the darkness. In order for us to fully transmute it, right? To allow the healing to come through, to allow the peace to come through, we have to energetically and emotionally, right, engage the love frequency that we are. And this was really important in that inner guidance that I received right after the eclipse moment. Because once again, I was being shown how this frequency of love, this technology of love, is uniquely human. It is the gift that we share with the universe. It is our contribution to the universe. And that can only be tapped into by understanding and regulating our emotions. So as I engage more and more with the moon and dance with her frequency, I get a very clear clarity point of humanity's purpose on Earth. And it's not to, quote unquote, just save Earth. That's important. But it's to be kind and emit this frequency of love that is our ability to illuminate not only what needs to be seen and transmuted and transcended, but also to illuminate the rest of the cosmos. And that's a huge contribution. Light and love are both necessary elements, not only to our existence, but to humanity's process in ascension. So I want you to remember that we are all in this beautiful technology of love that transforms and generates new beginnings, much like the planet Pluto, much like the death archetype that is making its appearance with this full moon, in Scorpio, right? Really important, coming off the heels of the eclipse. So for purposes of our reading, I'd like you to see death, this incredibly powerful archetype. I'd like you to see it as a tough love frequency that transforms people and experiences. And then I'd like you to see judgment as the archetype that lights and illuminates the darkness so that we can rise to the commitment that humanity has made, to the contract that humanity has made, and that each one of us individually has made, to illuminate ourselves with the frequency of love so that we can not only let go of what doesn't serve, but create a new beginning that benefits all. And the all does also include the universe, the ethers, right? We're so used to just allowing others out there in the universe to be the ones that show us love. No, we have to show each other love. We have to show the cosmos love. We have to start tapping into our own technology of love. Now, of course, however you define love is different for everyone. But this is exactly why it's so important to tap into the frequency of the moon, who you are in that context, and how you can transmute yourself and empower yourself to become a greater version of that love frequency. Now, of course, however you define love is different for everyone. But this is exactly why it's so important to tap into the frequency of the moon, who you are in that context, and how you can transmute yourself and empower yourself to become a greater version of that love frequency. These are truly, I feel this is like a shift that's happened, is for us to be prepared for what is our contribution to the cosmos. It's to prepare us for that leap. So many people are so excited, like, ooh, we're going to finally connect with quote unquote aliens or beings from the other side, yada yada. And I'm always like, to what end? They or whatever's out there is not going to quote unquote save us. We must save ourselves. This is all the energy of the full moon in Scorpios. This full moon archetype goes deep, and it's no nonsense. So I'm going to stop my chatter right now, and let's just take a closer look at these two archetypes and their visual symbology before we jump into our tarot and oracle readings. Remember that I do with full moons, unless it's an eclipse, full moons, I use oracles and not two tarot decks. But let's begin. So the main thing that I wanted everyone to sort of get from these cards is to understand some of the symbols of what's going on. So when we look at the death card, we will see that there's a king sort of right underneath the death figure, like in the belly area of the horse. And we've also got a child. There is also the Hierophant, Pope figure, Bishop figure, however you want to term it. And you've also got a maiden there. And what these symbols represent are the ways in which we might respond to change or transformations in our life, which is, of course, what the death card is here to usher in. And so the emperor energy, or the king energy, it's really the emperor. The emperor, if you attempt to resist change and transformation, you will be overcome, overburdened. That's why the Emperor is laying down as if in a literal death stage. The Child goes straight up to the death archetype without fear and embraces the change as a gift, right? Then we've got the Hierophant, which seems to be negotiating with change in some way, or death in some way, and praying as well. And then we've got that Maiden, and she's accepting what's coming. She's allowing for the change. And I want you to pay attention to that if you have a deck of cards and zoom into that Maiden, because she's wearing a laurel on her head. And the claim is that all of these figures, when Pamela Coleman Smith illustrated them, represented one of the other tarot archetypes. And so that Maiden represents, they say, the Strength card. And remember, the Strength card was part of the players that were in gear during the eclipse. So this archetype of death is very important. I'm not going to remove the possibility of more literal deaths, but for our purposes, this archetype represents change and transformation. So it's important, if you do get this in your reading today, to try to determine which of these manners are you going to respond to the changes and transformations that are heading your way. Now, when we're looking at the Judgment card, you'll see that there's a winged angel. And this card represents resurrection, renewal, regeneration, etc. And one of the things that is quite striking about the illustration, obviously, is these open coffins of 5 people, adults and children, rising up with their arms held out. And having the arms held out is a symbol of wonderment, but also of, in my view, of mercy, right? Of being in that space of mercy, so that you can literally overcome any obstacles and be able to make a decision, resurrect, and embrace the calling, whatever that calling is, your new life, right? Because the resurrection is a new life. It is a new calling. And the calling, of course, is reiterated by the horn that's emblazoned and held by this incredibly powerful angelic figure. I do want to go back very briefly to the Death card, because for those of you that are connected to the rose, there's the archetype of the Death tarot vibration is holding a flag emblazoned with what's known as the mystical rose. And this mystical rose is the symbol of life, right? So there are every single detail of a tarot card, specifically with the Pamela Coleman Smith card deck, right away a card deck, it's very symbolic. And so I just want you to keep in mind, death is not literal, it's a new life. All right, so that's all for the symbology. Let's get into the reading. Hello, here we go. So let's just begin. Who are the players for Scorpio? We've got the moon, of course, as always. We will put the moon up there. And our 2 tarot archetypes for moon and Scorpio, which is the Death card, right? And Judgment. Sorry about the glare. I don't even know where that's coming from. So there's that. And so I just really wanted to briefly talk about the archetype of this moon, right? Who is a moon in Scorpio? What is a moon in Scorpio? What does that mean? Moon in Scorpios are very instinctual. They can be an overwhelming moon, emotionally overwhelming moon because it runs very deep. And sometimes astrologers refer to this moon as the trauma moon, when we're talking about the moon in Scorpios. So I think the most important thing to keep in mind with moon in Scorpio is that this moon needs emotional release. It needs to release its energy. Otherwise, it can get really self-destructive, right? It can get very Plutonian. And the reason why we have these two archetypes is because they're ruled by the planet Pluto. So this particular moon is driven by, you know, the need to heal deep wounds, because it's, again, very Plutonian. And so before we begin, as always, I just want to, sorry, I already need a sip of water, but I just wanted to give you the traditional, just pull this here, the traditional interpretation of the death card, right? So whenever we see a death card in a tarot layout, we want to keep in mind that this is about spiritual transformation. It's not necessarily about literal death, right? This is about new beginnings, letting go, endings, change, transition, release, as I mentioned before, a need to revitalize even. So on its more challenging side, right, the more challenging side, we have the inability to move forward, the fear of beginnings. This is what it means when we see it in the layout, right? Repeated negative patterning. So again, it doesn't always signify literal death, is what I want to share. It signifies this transitional moment, right? This is very Plutonian, which is often obviously associated with death, but it's also a transitional card. So we'll put that there. And then, and I'm explaining this, right, because when we do the spread and the layout, I want you to see how and potentially where, oh, I see where the light is coming from. This flashlight is on. Why is the flashlight on? Oh, I'm just going to keep going. I have no idea why the flashlight is on. So when we see the Judgment card in a layout, now the flashlight, oh, here it is. Does that work? Can you guys still see that? Maybe it automatically turned on. I'll leave it on actually. So when we see the Judgment card in a tarot layout, what are we talking about? We're talking about the obvious: awakenings, renewals, judgments, blaming people. For me, it means forgiveness, a final reckoning, a final examination, as that saying goes, what you sow, so shall you reap. This is the ultimate karmic card. So this, when we see it in a reading, it's speaking about karma, right? On the more challenging side, this can be about indecisiveness, self-judgment, self-doubt, lack of self-awareness, right? Lack or unwillingness even to learn your own karmic lessons. That's on the challenging side. So we want to keep this in mind as we do our readings. Remember that the death card is really, that Plutonian card is really speaking to us about the heart center, right? What is it that we can rejuvenate, reimagine, begin again, right? The heart is what catapults us forward. And we're going to be looking at judgment through that lens of, I know the light, right? It's shining the light on something. So we're going to keep those frequencies in mind as we do our readings. And one last thing that I wanted to just showcase, whenever I'm doing the full moon readings, I use oracle decks, and this time I'm using what's called the Cosmic Consciousness Ascension deck by someone named Jamye Price. I don't follow her. I don't really understand her. I've seen her videos. She does something with like light languages, but this is, she calls it healing frequencies, to just looking at these light languages that activate one's ascension through different consciousness and planetary systems. So for me, when we were moving into, let me just put this here, we were moving into this, the eclipse, it really did feel like this cosmic shift. So I thought that deck was appropriate for our full moon in Scorpio reading. And I did want to mention one last time, and I always mention it, when we're at this full moon stage, right, we can go into the intentionality and what we want to, like, activate in our lives. But when we're at that quarter moon, which is when it's half and half, that's when you want to go into prayer time. So if you had a challenging eclipse, look at the calendar, find out when it's going to be that quarter moon, and go into the space of prayer, right? You want to just diffuse any challenges that may have been triggered with that eclipse, which is still very much active. All right, so let's begin as always with Aries. Having difficulty getting that. So Aries, where do you land? Let's see what we've got here. We've got the Unity card. So this is about expanding. And we've got the, I don't know if I like it with that light. Oh, I wonder if I could, because it kind of looked like a, anyway. What was I saying? Aries, right, yes. We've got the High Priestess and we've got Unity. So for me, this is not about necessarily going into the death energy, right, where we're closing. This is actually about going into the inner energy with unity, expansion, looking towards yourself, looking inward, right, and figuring out, right. So I'm going to pull the Judgment card here for you, because this is what I think we're gravitating towards for the Aries, people with Aries. And again, this is all moon sign astrological readings. However, if you find that the sun sun astrological sign speaks to you, great, write it out. If you find that it's the Ascendant, great, wonderful, write it out. But I am focusing on the moon sign. So if you have your moon in Aries, this is what's coming up with this full moon in Scorpio, what's being revealed, your light is shining upon your own inner wisdom, your ability even to have psychic impressions, right? This is expanding, this is illuminating, because you're probably studying some psychic modality. You're probably already connecting with the unity of all that is. You're already expanding. So you are in this cosmic energy of reaping, right? What you've sowed. Also, keep in mind, too, is the energy of peace. So when we're entering into this judgment field, we want to approach it with that energy of peace, with this energy of unity coming forward. Lovely. Thank you. Next up is Taurus. What do we've got for you, Taurus? Taurus. We've got joy. Oh my gosh, this is wonderful. And we've got young enthusiasm. This is the Seven of Swords. So joy and young enthusiasm. I'm going to gravitate towards the Death card here for you, because when we see swords in any suit, we're in our heads. we are refusing to sort of like let go of something that we've been thinking about. We're lacking faith, right? So when we meet the death card, you know, this is really asking you, who are you going to be when you're confronted with, or you see that this new beginning is now upon you? Are you going to get stuck in your thoughts, or are you going to move forward? Because again, in the background here, we've got the sun and these two towers. The sun is what's on the other side of this moment of death and ending, right? And for you, it looks like it's an initiation process. So whenever we're going through the death process, this is an initiation. In your initiation, so long as you release these thought patterns that are keeping you down, that are making you not sort of be in the space of faith, so long as you're holding on to that kind of energy, you can't be initiated. So go through the death process. Let go of what no longer is serving you. Let go of old, outdated belief systems even, so that you can start tapping into this gift of joy that's awaiting. The next card up is for people with moon in Gemini. Here we go. Well, hello. You've got judgment and you've got neutrality. Wow. Another major arcana. So we've got a major arcana over there. We've got one over here. So this is really telling us already, just with these first three cards, that this moon in Scorpio is going to be pretty impactful, not just for us individually, but perhaps even for the world, because we've got the direct judgment card right here. So I'm not going to pull this because you've already got it. And again, this is telling me that for you, you have this initiation going forward that you've already accomplished, which is you've already tapped into forgiving yourself and others, right? You've already reached this space of neutrality. Now you just have to release, accept, and really be like the strength card here at this lower quadrant here, to just be in that space of surrender, right? The space of surrender, so that you can really then start enjoying what's coming through after your initiatory process. But yeah, I've been saying this for a while. People with moon in Gemini, or even if this is speaking to you on another level, that you're a Gemini, you've been going through it, right? And I feel that now we're at the home stretch. Now we're at the home stretch. So hang in there. You're doing great. Let's see. The next card up is, just want the words to show because I want to sort of repeat those words at the end. Cancer, moon in Cancer. Dun, dun, dun. What do we've got here? Past life integration, initiation here we have for you. And we also have joyous gatherings. So really interesting, because twice we've already gotten this word joy. Past life integration. I have to go with the death card for you, because this is about releasing the past for you, right? So this is about, what are you gathering from your emotion? Sometimes the 5 is about emotional chaos, right? So what can you gather from emotional chaos from your past moving forward? What can you integrate into your now, right? Into your new beginning that's awaiting, right? With this full moon in Scorpio, you've got a new beginning waiting, and it's asking you to integrate some sort of emotional healing that you did based on some sort of chaotic experience. You're being asked to integrate that and go into an initiation practice with it. Oftentimes when I see, this combination, it's telling me like, yeah, something may have sucked in the past, something may not have, worked out the way that you want it, but what's the gem, right? This is really important. We get stuck in the past and think that was it. That was the whole experiment that I was sharing with you with the eclipse. Don't get stuck with this idea that that was it. Transmute it, transform it. Go into the death process, go into the initiation, and start integrating this into your lives. Next up, we have Leo. Work on your belief systems, right? This is about your awareness. This is about your belief systems that were handed down from family even. There's an awakening, right? So we see an awakening, we see belief system, we see awareness. So where do you think that's going to gravitate us towards, right? The Judgment card. Because why? They're awakening. There's an awareness. They are being, even communicated some new knowledge. From where? From up above. Same as here. Knowledge being brought down from up above, giving you an awareness. This does come from a family connection. So for you, the full moon is Scorpio, and I am tapping into somebody that's following, right? Because as I told you before, I do my prayer work, and I really tap into those people that are following me on this page. My work is serious, and I'm tapping into something here related to someone who's following, where you really had to go into your family's belief system, start transforming it, be aware, and be willing to forgive the past, be willing to embrace the new, and do not judge the family knowledge. Do not judge the belief systems that were passed down from family, because that's actually going to assist you. And I am tapping into somebody who's watching this engagement, that's following us in the group. Let's put it this way. Next up, we have the Virgos. What you got? What you got, Virgo? What you got? Ooh, Virgo, you accidentally had 2 cards in your spread. So 2 tarot cards, so we will keep that. And you have new perspectives, initiation. We have here the willpower, right? This is the willpower, the Emperor. I'm going to have to pull the Death card, right? We have initiation, we have the Emperor. Where else do we see the Emperor? Right here, right there. That's the Emperor energy. So this is all, and then we also have the Prince of Cups, which is going through an initiation, right? So this very much taps into this new perspective. What's awaiting you? It's a new perspective. Let go of the past. It is not serving you. Do not be, and since you got the Emperor, don't be like the Emperor, where you're constantly resisting the change. You're constantly pushing back the new. If you resist a powerful energy like this, I mean, look how big and tall Death is, even in comparison to the Hierophant or just regular people, right? It's a huge presence. So you don't want to interface with Pluto. When Pluto comes, and again, the rose up here signifies life. When Pluto comes to offer you a new life, you don't meet it with resistance, because then you are going to be stuck and you'll never make it to the sun gates. Beautiful. I'm gonna put the Emperor on top, because that kind of felt. I felt like the Prince of Cups was just a reinforcement of something that's definitely coming your way, which is the new perspectives. The new perspective. We've got Libra. Whoop. What do you do? Is this 2 cards too? No, Libra. Let's see what we got. Truth, awareness, and then we've got fearlessness. So when we see the Prince of Swords, this is someone who is scared. Scared of responsibility, scared of moving forward on their own, scared of just engaging with an awareness or a truth that they don't want to see. Swords always talks about truth, right? So Don't get scared, Libra, but I'm going to pull the Death card, right? Because we need to let go of any fears that we have about letting go of the past, right? We need to let go of any fears that we have about taking the sword of truth and being in the space of responsibility. It's very important. Suddenly my energy felt very serious because we don't want to just ignore our inner virtues of truth. We want to move forward. There is really nothing to fear. It's all mental. Again, when we see the swords, we're talking about mental belief systems. All right? Just give me a second because I do need to drink more. Sorry, I need to drink more water. All right. And next time I'll have the cup closer. I just didn't have anywhere to put it. So Scorpio, dun dun dun. This is your full moon. Ooh, excited. Let's turn it around. Courage, initiation, and then we've got generosity. So, oof, very interesting to me. I feel that I'm going to need courage in forgiving, right? I'm going to need courage in letting go and forgiving. This card signifies when we give too much energy, when we're pouring all of our emotions out there. We need the courage to set some healthy boundaries. We need the courage to be generous without feeling depleted, right? So this is a new thing for you, Scorpios, because you literally don't share your emotions until you've done some excavations, right? Until you've dug deep into something. So for this to come out, right, you will be feeling the full moon energy pretty strongly, but you also want to be careful of not going to a different extreme. You want to have the courage that you've always had to keep a healthy boundary as you're moving on to this new initiatory phase, which for you, this part is actually difficult, to forgive yourself and to forgive others for being so generous. And maybe perhaps other people have not been appreciating that. And you've got to have the courage to let it go. You really do have to be, maybe I'll pull both cards for you because you really do have to be like the strength card here. Sometimes surrender and acceptance is actually courageous. Next up is Sagittarius moon. Dun, dun, dun. What do we got? What do we got? Balance. Another initiation, guys. Another initiation. And the Empress, right? So we're talking about this higher intelligence moving forward. We're also talking about communication. So I feel like there has to be a balance with you and communication with others. Obviously, because I mentioned communication, I'm going to pull the Judgment. Why? Because he's sounding the horn. That's coming, from the throat chakra. The sound is healing. It's a form of communication. Listen to your higher guidance. That 3 is really, the Trinity is really speaking to me here. It's not necessarily about you creating something new, but it's really about you listening to your intuitive higher knowledge, higher guidance, and having perhaps even, because I see this Empress, a balance between work-life. Right? But the initiation has to do with your throat chakra. Let's see. Moon's in Capricorn, babies. What you got? What you got? Clarity, expanding. And then we've got creative spark. I gotta go to the Death card, because this is one of the gifts that you are receiving because you've already let go. So let me just pull this for a second. Something that I've shared with people is that over these past couple of years, I've had a lot of death in my family. And when it first started happening, I wasn't still enough, right? Like I had to do things, I had to take care of things, I had to communicate. The death began with some of my elder aunties, I had to communicate with my cousins, etc. By this time it started hitting my own personal family, with my dad, I didn't feel that I was still enough, but there was this one moment that I was completely in stillness and I received a wind, you know, and I'm speaking here to Capricorns. I received a wind energy that felt almost like the gift of inner peace for me. And so with the death of my dog and then the death of my own mother, I knew that if I was still, I was going to expand my awareness and be in the spirit, right? This is the Ace of Wands, be in the spirit of a new beginning. And I pulled the Death card because what does death represent? Beginnings and endings, right? Mostly endings in order to begin anew. So this is a beginning card. This is a spark card. This is the card of creativity. This is the card of spiritual, I don't want to say enlightenment so much, but it could be enlightenment for you. But I feel more like a spiritual knowing that you get, a new clarity that you've received because you've let go and already done the initiation. I feel like you've crossed over, for the Capricorns, you've crossed over to beyond death. But that's a nice gift to get from this full moon in Scorpio. This clarity that you want seems pretty on point for you. It's not going to be a mixed message for you to get the clarity. You're going to get a direct communication of what you desire, what you need, the guidance that you're seeking. Moon in Aquarius. We've got tested wills and discernment, awareness, right? Tested wills. Immediately, what I felt was self-judgment, right? Immediately. This is an energy that's telling me, I've got a little head drama going on. I've got a little head drama going on about some ideas that I want to put forward, and it just feels chaotic. It feels like it's all over the place, right? So I have to discern. I have to go into a focus point. I have to really be aware of what is it that I truly desire, right? And this may require that you release. So I'm going into the death energy here. It may require that you let go. If it's something that you've tried out before and it worked, keep doing it. If it's something that you've tried out before and you want to be creative, it doesn't seem to me that this is the route you take. You have to be discerning. Do what's worked in the past and don't be afraid to let go of old patterning or even a new idea, right? Because it doesn't have to be an old patterning. Maybe you just have to kill a new idea that you know is not, it's not in flow, right? So you want to be in that space of discerning and you want to be in the space of awareness. See what's coming toward you and be in the state of grace when it arrives. You don't have to, I almost feel like don't reinvent the wheel. Just don't. Okay, and last but never ever least, we've got, I gotta reach it from this end. We've got the Piscean moon, dun, dun, dun. Future, creating, whoa, expanding, whoa. That looks like time, right? Counting of time. What have we got here? Integrity. Woohoo! So actually, whenever I see the Ten of Swords, I don't see it as a negative thing. Obviously, it's not. It's basically like landing all of your projects, landing all of the ideas with integrity, and give it time. You need time. Sort of like a time clock ticking, or the sand of time, right? Being part of your creative field of landing all of your ideas, but give it time. Sorry, I didn't pull your card, which is Judgment. Don't get agitated or upset that, you know, it's been boxed up for so long, and now you finally get this release point, and you're feeling like, what's happening? Why am I not expanding as quickly as I want? Where's this creative project going? What's this future, you know, like da 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 da. There's a lot of that going on when I see the 10. So do not sabotage yourself merely because we haven't tapped into this virtue of patience. This is very much giving me this energy of have patience. The expansion is happening, but have patience. You still need some more messages that you need to get from the higher realms, right? There's something is being created here in the future, but I need to have patience and always act with integrity, which there's no doubt that Moon and Pisces individuals are doing that because they're connected to the spiritual source. All right. That was it, folks. That was the reading, but I did want to have you guys just close your eyes, and I'm going to read out the words, the cosmic consciousness ascension words that are speaking to this full moon in Scorpio. So just close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Hold the breath. Release. One more time. Take a deep breath in. Hold the breath. Release. Keep your eyes closed and breathe naturally. Unity. Joy. Neutrality. Past life integration. Belief systems. New perspective. Truth. Courage. Balance. Clarity. Discernment. Future creating. Take a deep breath in. Hold the breath. Release. You may open your eyes. If there was a word that I said and it was resonating for you, go back, listen to the video, and see what message came out with that particular moon energy. Enjoy, stay safe. This window on a collective level might be a little tough, guys, all right? So I'm speaking collectively. We actually had great cards, but just on a collective level, when we do read from a global perspective, death may be literal. Judgment may be coming in the form of death. All right, take care. I love you. Give this a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe, because otherwise I don't know how these algorithm things work, but you'll miss the video. And yeah, I want you to, you know, as we move forward, you can feel, not just because this is a moon in Scorpio, but literally you can feel that every time we're going into these readings, we're getting deeper and deeper and deeper into some sort of soul communication with that moon energy, making us aware, allowing us to integrate and be in the initiation with the moon. Love you. Bye.